Our scene opens with Valentino inside of a hidden compartment inside of a mausoleum on his property. While the riots rage in the background, Valentino has decided that he's going to start preparing for war in the way that he knows how. But to do so, he's going to finish off a project that he's been working on for some time in the background. Valentino has set it up so that he now has a sacrificial pedestal over which anyone who is sacrificed will bleed out into a basin, which then goes down into a drain, fed through 5 different spouts, and drips blood onto the foreheads of 5 different corpses. After he's done with this process, all he has to do is pull a lever, which will move the corpses over a few feet, introducing 5 new corpses into this process. Another kill, and he has 5 more shambling hordes. With his mechanical creation complete, he calls to Lorenzo and lets him know that all he needs is the sacrifice to begin doing what they had planned. Not long after, 2 of Lorenzo's henchmen bring Valentino a squirming, fighting rebel from the riots. Just a regular human, but fighting for the cause regardless. Upon the murder of this victim, 5 dead begin to rise. A few miles away, Tinia makes her way to the back door of the last drop, passing Jay's van. As she approaches the door to the bar, the door to the van flies open, with Jay holding a elaborately wrapped Christmas gift in hand. Skeptical, Tinia opens it and finds what Jay has been working on all of this time. A beautiful handmade Mac 10. This gun, being presented to his Baron, is unregistered, no serial number. It is very illegal, but is very beautiful and has some very interesting capabilities. After receiving the gift, Tinia decides to go ahead and head on inside, finding no one but Marty, the bartender, who's taking inventory of all the stock weapons piled all over the bar. She asks if anybody's there. Marty says, only the boss. And as the door shuts with a resounding thud behind her, she can hear the footsteps of the boss as he makes his way downstairs. Tinny has known Marty since she was embraced, possibly before if she hung out at the last drop. She never really knew who Marty belonged to until now. I've actually decided to just go ahead and put the clip of the conversation between these 2 kindred in this recap instead of me telling you exactly what happened, because I don't think I can portray it properly. Such a interesting and in-depth moment of roleplay occurred, and I just feel like sharing. You walk in, you see Marty. Marty's always been there.
Marty's always here.
Marty owns, quote-unquote, the bar. Marty, you've seen him do some acts, so you know he's not human.
Yeah.
Don't really know who Marty belongs to. He's just like a family ghoul.
Yeah, he's just there.
But Marty is busy taking inventory. And when I say taking inventory, I mean he's got a clipboard out and a pencil. Another pencil tucked behind his ear with just handguns, shotguns.
Taking inventory of
machine
the armory.
Guns, boxes upon boxes of ammo. Knives. What looks like a couple of anchors on chains in the corner.
That would be Miles.
He's just taking inventory. When you open the door, he looks up, and you can kind of see a sigh of relief, and then just right back to work. Give me a wits and awareness. Go ahead and add your celerity to it.
Okay. Wits, awareness, and
just
celerity.
over there.
That would be... Wow, two
Just
successes?
Okay. You can tell... You can tell that there was a nearly imperceptible movement in his actions.
Yeah, he definitely nearly went for something.
Aside from that, this is probably the quietest you've ever seen this place. And I mean that literally quietest, like there's no music on, there's no television on. It's just scratching up a pencil and paper.
Nobody else in here but him?
No one's in here but him.
Anyone else been by?
Couple. Just Miles dropping something off. Saw that kid Lucas. Boss is in the back.
Right. Go say hi and figure out what the heck we're doing.
No. As the door shuts behind you, never really noticed how heavy the door was. Like, obviously you don't have to worry about how heavy it is, but like just the reverberation of the echoing when the door shuts. And a couple seconds after that, you just start hearing slow steps coming down the stairs.
It works.
And it's...
Isn't it great?
It's Vincent. It's your grandsire.
Oh. I wondered who he meant when he said boss.
Yeah. He just kind of casually comes down the stairs. I think this is like maybe your third or fourth time actually ever seeing him.
Yeah, I think so.
He's wearing kind of scuffed, worn leather boots, blue jeans. You've only really seen him in suit-ish style stuff. T-shirt, black leather jacket. He's got this look. You probably, again, you've only seen him a couple times. You didn't realize that he was not fully shaved when he was embraced. He's kind of scruff, graying. Looks a lot older than, like, there's a lot of weight on him. But he's got a nice, like, just like happy to see you smile on his face. Hey, baby doll.
Evening.
How are you doing? He like goes up to Marty.
Trying to work out who's trying to burn down the city.
Anarchs.
And Hakata.
Marty puts out 2 whiskey tumblers that have like blood on the bottom and just whiskey floating on the top.
Later drinks.
It's Merrick's favorite.
Ah.
I'm probably dressed at this point, so I'll head into the scene shortly.
Okay.
And Anarchs.
Yeah. Anarchs. Mm-hmm. You're right outside. You can come in whenever.
Okay. 3M respirator. Yellow raincoat.
Invasion of the Mole Men.
Why does everybody keep saying that?
Because it looks like you're tunneling.
I mean, that sounds like... Do you have any tunnels?
Yes, there are tons of
lots of
tunnels.
tunnels.
I'll have to take you down there some point. And...
Here?
Yeah.
So, that's good. We're cut off, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, look, the number of times we've had to pull a runner through the Shanghai tunnels.
I like this plan.
So, you can get just about anywhere in the city with them.
Beer freezer under the kegs.
This makes me feel all warm and fuzzy knowing there's another line of retreat, because it's scary out there.
Mm-hmm.
He just sits down at the table, puts his feet up. You look troubled.
I don't even know the guy who's trying to burn down my city, and that's annoying.
You mean trying to burn down your city?
Well, they're currently doing a pretty good job of starting a riot out there, so that's
Yeah, in
burning
areas
things
that
down.
areas that belong to the Hikata.
True.
You wanted an Anarch city. You got an Anarch city.
That's true.
You won. Yeah, seriously, you won.
You might have to give that guy like a handshake and a
Oh yeah, I definitely want to talk to this guy. Like, I saw him yesterday, and
Now, personally, I'm a
that way.
ends justifies the means kind of guy. But they out there, they don't like it. I'm not sure you're going to get their trust. But do you want to lead an Anarch city? Or do you want an Anarch city? It comes down to that same old question they're always going to ask you. What do you want?
to have an Anarch city. I didn't want to be in charge,
You
but you
got
know
it,
what?
sweetheart.
You're right. You're right.
You got it. You won. You've done some pretty nasty stuff to do it, but that's the life. And you got them big old brouhaha balls doing it too. Seriously, brass pair, fire clacking out of your ass when the fucking wind catches on. You fucking won. So,
Trick is, can we hold
congrats.
it? We Anarchs, that is, not me specific.
I think that really depends on how this goes down.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about a dozen Hikata. I really don't. I could be wrong. They could pull out some creepy ass voodoo I've never seen before, but I highly doubt it. Not with the numbers, not with the amount of humans, not with the amount of kindred, not with the amount of thin bloods that are helping out.
It seems he's picked a fight with the Thin Bloods. I don't know what that's about.
I don't think it matters.
It's true.
But this whole thing, it's gonna go the Anarch's way. But
What sort of collateral damage are we looking at? That sort of question.
it's a war. And we can do it calculated and in a boardroom, like the Camarilla.
Or throwing security into police cars.
The thing is, there's killing slowly over a period of time, which actually, in my opinion, looks a little bit more suspicious. Or there's getting rid of all the problems at once. And it looks to me that the Anarchs of the city are doing that. You don't look happy about it.
I'm just uncertain about it. I'm not against the idea. It's just the surprise factor has me a little off kilter. Didn't know it was coming.
Surprise.
Yep, surprise.
It's
If you can surprise yourself,
This-
you can surprise the enemy.
all right. Well, you're nuttier than squirrel shit. Anyway, so do you want to lead this? Say it's a boring job because it's
It's a
delegation.
headache.
It is. Take it from somebody who has been a primogen in like 4 cities. Leadership of any kind is difficult. And you don't even have the benefit of leading with people who think they have something to be communal about.
Yeah. These bunch of strangers now, too. Like, leading the city when it was people I knew.
Mhm.
That was one story. I've come back and half the city I knew is gone.
You opened the city up to the Anarchs.
And the Anarchs I knew have left. A good chunk of them, anyway. So it's very much so a whole different board I'm looking at. When did I get so boring?
That's a damn good question. Are you boring? Or are you just not made to throw bricks through windows? Because I know that you've thrown a fist through one person's face. At least that's what everybody's saying. Killed a Lasombra, huh? Not bad. Not bad at all. There was this little punk priest, Lasombra, here a few years ago that I wanted to punch in the face a few times.
You mean Deacon?
That little shit.
Yeah, Deacon. Deacon was alright. He
He was a cammy fuck.
switched to Anarch, hilariously enough.
Did he now?
He did, yeah. Then he went east.
People are allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, he ended up hanging out around us too much and switched sides when the Camarilla started trying to push him around.
Yeah, I think I heard about something about a blood hunt about Lasombra.
Yep, that would have been him.
Other side of the country is a little different.
They, different how?
Well, I'm usually in a cam city, poking at the foundations. But, I don't know. There's just a lot of reclaiming. There were a lot of archbishops in the Sabbat back then. And now that they're gone.
A lot of remnants.
More like neonates fighting over who gets to be king of the shithill.
Makes sense.
It's not that big of a deal. Just kindred fighting kindred in the streets. You know. Like here.
Yeah, it sounds like... Well, there goes another helicopter.
This city has gotten big from when my time here was. And the Anarchs, I mean, they were always here. There's always the person who says no. This is almost as bad as California.
We're too small to be California.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. You got Lil Matty out there who's role-playing as Jeremy McNeil. There's always mess when the Anarchs take over a place, but it calms down.
That's kind of why I'm hoping this just teething pains.
They're just full out biting.
Well,
But if it's an Anarch city, it's going to be an Anarch city. Anybody who's not Anarch is going to be removed in one fashion or another. The Akata are either going to tuck tail and run, and if I know Whistler, that's not going to happen. But my intel says Whistler's not up and around dancing anymore. So
I'm not sure I ever met Whistler. I met Mother Anya, and she's not exactly the run-in type either.
either way, you need to decide what your part is in this. And it can be nothing. Because you did it. You got the cam out.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the cam came back and decided that they were going to go, oh, the person we made the deal with is gone. Deal's off. I would like to see them set up Praxis. Because you're seeing what they're doing to the cam property when the cam aren't here.
If we can still hold up our part, make Portland actually run itself, we win.
It will. When
It
the
will.
opposition's gone. And then the only thing that's going to be left is turf wars after that. And whoever can stop it will stop it. My concern is I don't think they're really going to settle down when it comes to you being Baron. Unless you scare the hell out of them. But I don't know if you're going to be able to with how out of hand it's gotten.
Yeah.
Do you want to be Baron? Like, do you really want to be the person who tells the other people what to do while you sit in your office?
Oh
and
gosh, no.
Then don't. Do something else. Fuck, go with Miles. Don't tell Colin I said this, but Miles has always been my favorite child. 100%. Do you see him out there fighting? No. Do you know why? Because he doesn't fucking want to. That boy's not even an anarch. He hangs out in anarch cities so he doesn't have to kiss a ring. He travels. He sees the world. He was under someone's boot when I embraced him. And he has not been under anybody's boot since, even mine. That first year and a half was the worst that I have ever spent with a child. Miles was a pain in my ass. I thought I sat on a fucking steak. But he did what he wanted. He got into fights. He got kicked out of several cities. Little shit almost got red listed. But he calmed down. He made some friends. And now, he comes around when Beckett calls him. But he goes where he wants. No one tells him what to do. It's the only person I've ever seen look at Sacha Vikos in the eye and not back down. Kid is a wrecking ball if he wants to be. And he doesn't want to be. There's nothing telling you you have to do anything. Take your uncle as an example for that. You don't have to. You can. I'm not sure how as hell you'll pull it off if you want to. But you don't have to.
I'm just kind of wondering who's spreading all these rumors at this stage.
Who put you in position? Think about that. You have a Sabat pack that apparently comes and checks up on you.
Yeah, there's a spot pack freaking wandering around, and that's back in the city, and apparently the Hakata are chatting with them is a problem.
Yeah. There were Hakata in the Sabat. I'm sure there still are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there still are, but there were
right.
once.
Yeah, there were.
Sabat.
I remember those people.
Harbingers.
Creepy masks.
They were creepy. You're fucking creepy.
Yeah, no, bad vibes off of them. I met one or two. Well, if the Hakata are dealing with the Sabat, the Hakata may have to leave.
I don't think the Hakata... I don't think there's a choice in that one.
Yeah.
What do you think? Jay?
Well, I'm convinced. Let's go burn something. Or someone.
Fucking Christ. Fucking kids. City's on fire.
City's on fire.
What do you do?
Figure out who's throwing the Molotov cocktails and don't stand in their line of fire half the time. Been there. Had that problem.
Burning every other faction
Okay.
Literally.
out of the city.
Does that mean that you two are going to
Obviously.
go over there and start throwing
start
bricks
chucking
through
Molotovs
windows?
at Hakata, right?
This stage is still basically a turf war between the Thin Bloods and the Hakata.
And the Anarchs are involved.
And the Anarchs have gotten involved, yep.
I guess I'm asking, how active of an Anarch do you feel like being? Because this is what Anarchs do. We can say, fight for freedom. Right now they're fighting for territory.
Yeah. We're fighting over turf.
Mm-hmm. And as soon as they're done,
They'll turn and fight each other for that
they're
same
going to
turf.
start fighting each other for it. Until someone stands up and says that's enough. That they can actually respect.
Yep. That's the problem I've got.
Somebody who's not afraid to Make an example out of a few of them. We are coming to a very interesting conclusion, however, that this city has already had a lot of problems in the last couple years.
Sure has. Sure has. If this goes much further, we probably already have CERT out there.
No, I'm sure we do.
Yeah, like I said, if this goes much further, they're going to be a major problem.
Well, every city's got CERT. It's just a...
CERT we had to deal with here a few
SI.
years ago. SI.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm well aware. You look like you just found something in your peanut butter.
Okay, well, okay, they're going to fight for territory.
Uh-huh.
Then they're going to fight for territory amongst each other.
Uh-huh.
So if I want to hang on to my house, I need to go show up and blow things up with everybody else so that I can make friends or at least impress people with not to mess with me vibes.
I assumed he was living in that van.
I got a house. It's allowed.
It is allowed. I assumed you were living in a van.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
I drove it here.
Figured you just parked it down by the river.
Well, I parked it. It's been behind here for
Over your head,
weeks.
it's fine. I missed that guy. Anyway.
If we want to have any respect at the end of the riot, we probably all have to go to the riot. Doesn't that make sense?
Completely.
Yeah. Throw in.
Because otherwise people will be like, where were you at the riot? Versus, I saw you burning down buildings at the riot. You're a scary person. I'm not going to mess with your house.
I'm going to give you a little bit of my 400 years of experience. Your options are not give a crap what the anarchs think. Do what you want. Your other option is to find the individuals that you made this deal with and kill them. Where the anarchs can see. I know one of them is our blood.
And no longer in the city.
Is he
From
not?
everything I've heard.
I can tell you he's here. He's laying low, and he's not his full self right now. Killing his granddaughter does that to him. You put Billy out of his misery, and you put that Sabat pack where they belong. And that right there will make you okay in their eyes.
We can start with the Sabat pack. Billy is a more difficult question.
I mean, you kill the Sabat pack, you might be able to social your way out of it or something, but I'm telling you guarantees.
I said, start with Sabat pack. Billy's a more difficult question. Them I have no problem going after. Especially if the Hakata are dealing with them as well.
Seems to me they're just pulling the strings. Instigating everything.
Mm-hmm. They were there when the riot started. I wonder if how far off.
Kane's choir has been a thorn in Portland's side for years. And from what I understand, this is just a new iteration of it.
Considering who's kind of there higher up,
I know Elena.
that makes sense.
I know Elena. I don't think it's really going to come that far. You're just going to have to deal with that Lasombra and his cronies.
Yep. Yep.
How many cronies?
There's 4 that I saw.
Yeah, most hyenas. You kill the pack leader, the rest run away.
Yep. No, Sombra's definitely the ringleader.
It's 2-to-1 odds.
Well, we got find him first is the first trick.
No. You don't want to find him first. You want to find allies first.
Oh, definitely.
Because I can't real good to no thanks.
Drag him out and make an example.
At least he's young, from what I know.
Yeah.
Because he has a warrant on his head in Florida. Noah Masters, the underworld king of Sun City, Florida.
Where?
Sun City.
It's a real place?
It is, in fact. He's
literally Florida man.
That was his title when he was a human.
Okay.
Owned a few clubs, sold drugs, homemade gangster type. But somebody decided that it would be a good idea for him to get embraced. And then that somebody was killed by him. He's already killed his own sire.
Uh-huh.
Threw him off in Elysium into a bus.
Ow.
And then strolled right out. You might get your hands covered for this one.
What?
You might have your hands full with this one.
Yeah. I've seen some of what he can do. Got the footage around here somewhere. There was a massacre at a karaoke bar last New Year's.
Heard about that. A few dozen people.
Yep. Kind of what set all this in motion, actually. Right. Spot hunting.
I left Portland because it was too weird for me.
And so you went to Florida.
Tallahassee. It's more like South Alabama.
I'm not sure that makes it any better.
Yeah. Now, I left because they were starting to look for a baron and they were starting to point fingers at me. I couldn't really risk my position.
Makes sense. Now, if there were hands I felt I could hand the city off into, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but...
Why is it your problem?
Because I made it my problem, apparently?
Why? You got the cam out.
Yeah,
You did your part.
that's true.
Now that everybody's all riled up like a raccoon in a pillowcase. Fucking love this guy. What are the cam gonna do? You already have one of the most obnoxious Malkavians I have ever met strolling the streets, preaching the cam word, and there is no way in hell he is going to be able to successfully claim Praxis. You got Darian King. He's an Archon for Juliet Parr.
Oh, gosh.
Which means you have a well-equipped Malkavian, but it's still one Malkavian. And even if he had a party in mind, there's no way in hell he is going to fight back this many Anarchs.
Not at this stage.
Oregon is becoming the new LA. And LA wants to help. Which means you're going to have the several barons that they have there already helping. I say it's not your problem. You can make it your problem. But it is currently not your problem.
Backseated. If everybody screws up, so be it.
No one is going to allow the masquerade to break that much. There's going to be some cracks. People are going to panic and start behaving.
Yeah.
As soon as a hunter is seen, which I say we're a couple hours away from that.
Might not be the worst idea to lay low Or go hit some things.
I hear Miles is considering Baltimore for a little while.
Baltimore.
Something again about Beckett.
Wouldn't mind going to see in D.C. The
Emperor.
The Emperor,
The
yeah.
Kindred Emperor.
I don't know what that's about, but I met some of his people.
I met him when he was a Ventru.
What do you mean when he was a Ventru?
Marcus Vitel. The Ventru Prince of DC.
Okay, the way you phrased it made it sound like he was no longer a Ventru, and that's why I was suddenly
He's
confused.
not a Ventru. Bell was there. He told me. Bell and Petersoon were escorting Vitel to safety after DC fell in '99.
Mm-hmm.
And Bell had an itch. Just felt like he knew something. And he started acting erratic, Bell. Because Vitel started acting erratic. Next thing you know, there's shadow tendrils flying everywhere. They had him cornered. They parked him in a garage and just unloaded on him. Apparently they killed him. But then he showed back up, claiming Praxis, back in his old stomping grounds. I'm actually not too upset about that. The idea of having a Camarilla Prince in a city with that many red buttons scares the hell out of me.
So he's
Lasombra.
Lasombra, who was pretending to be Ventru.
Yeah, fucking old one too, like from Rome.
Jeez.
Powell says he knows him, but he says he knew him back in the day. Like, Rome.
How's he still out there if Deacon got back-end?
What?
Deacon got back-end. Lasombra.
Okay.
Old guy who's here. Elder who's here.
I don't know how the beckoning works.
I don't know. People have been theorizing that it's kind of working its way down to the younger sets.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, would Deacon be directly descended from him?
Well, I'm just saying that he's older than Deacon, so... I don't know. I don't know how the beckoning works, too. I just know the theories floating about.
I don't know. If that's the case, why is Tyler still here?
That's a good question, too. Or Critias.
How's that old windbag doing?
Teaching Vampire University, basically. Interesting classes.
That's just kind of fucking stupid.
A lot of interesting philosophy.
Anyway, I'm sure you got a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I got some skulls to bash.
I'm going to finish my drink and I might see you out there.
He's gonna stand up, reach behind the bar, and grab his baseball bat that's wrapped in barbed wire.
Lucille, get up, Lucille.
I'm using
Anarchs!
I'm using
You're using the actor.
Look it up, Lucille.
and he is going to walk out the door whistling.
At the same time, only a couple miles away, Lorenzo Putinesca is ready to enter an office for another meeting with Richard Wynn. He tells his two bodyguards from Good Damn Security to be prepared for anything. And as he says that, he starts to hear bone snapping, skin stretching, sinew realigning itself. The hair on the back of their hands becomes thicker, more coarse. They gain a protruding brow. And these two security guards double in size as they take on the Galabro form. But it isn't quite right. There's a smell to them. Rotting flesh and corruption. There's a look to them. Where the skin had ripped to make way for more bone, not much has healed over. These Guru, these BSDs, are a tainted breed. As Lorenzo walks into the boardroom where he expects to find Wynn and Bowers, he finds a third man, Darian King, who he had given the mayor their phone number nights before. Wynn greets Lorenzo warmly. "There's my guy. How are things going?" Lorenzo really doesn't know how to answer, but Wynn says, "I know how things are going." And he turns on the TV in the corner hanging on the wall. The riots. 16 dead. All Lorenzo says is, "Yup," unfazed by any of this. They ask what exactly they plan on doing about it. The Camarilla says that they can get involved. They can clean things up. And perhaps they can make out a deal, considering the fact that the promise could very well be up in just a few short years. Darian King offers Lorenzo assistance at a 50-50 spot. The Camarilla get 50% of the city. The Hecata get the other half of the city. Wynn says that they have been approached by the National Guard, but he knows that they're not actually the National Guard. That members of an organization known as the Entity, the Society of Leopold, has offered to come in and clear out the mess. All he has to do is give the okay, and they will swarm in and handle everything themselves. While they're discussing the fate of Portland, Wynn has his PowerPoint presentation up, and he's flipping through pictures of the anarchy that has been taking place in the New Orleans district in Old Town Portland. He stops on one rather pixelated, distorted picture. And he says, well, this pack, this Sabat pack, seems to be orchestrating the whole thing, because they're just sitting there enjoying the carnage. Lorenzo tells them that, well, that's the pack that put Tinia in charge in the first place. King burst out into laughing, declaring that that makes no sense whatsoever, and that's coming from him. Wynn then shifts to another slide on his presentation, bringing up a picture of Matty Little. This guy right here seems to be the person who's actually in charge of everything. He's the one giving the orders. So, if Tinia is the Baron, how exactly is it that the majority of the anarchs in the city are following this guy? Lorenzo gets his phone out and snaps a picture of Matty, sending it to his security team. Wynn looks at Lorenzo, his partner in crime, and says, so, the situation is just escalating. What exactly do we plan on doing about this? Lorenzo explains to Wynn and King about how Valentino is creating an army of shambling hordes on his behalf. He explains to him that it is a last resort, but this should do the trick. Wynn interjects, letting them understand that this could also be a political disaster. He just became mayor. And in that case, the city could very well be losing trust in him. And this is a chance for the kindred of the city to have a mayor in the know, who knows exactly what's going on, that's not being directed by one individual kindred or one individual group. This is a chance for all of the kindred of Portland to have a better way of life. And as long as Wynn is in charge, he will have supernatural superiority on the agenda. He goes on to say that this event could ruin his chance at a senatorship. Lorenzo asks, you're already thinking about a bigger chair? He retorts by saying, I'm thinking about the biggest chair, implying that he's going to be running for President of the United States in a few years. Lorenzo asks Darian if there's anything that the Camarilla can do to help with the situation. He says he can bring Archons in, and that seems like a promising prospect. Lorenzo then says that he has hired on the same security as Wynn, and they could send them out to try to handle the issue. Darien King just kind of shakes his head no, looking towards the door, knowing that Lorenzo's bodyguards are standing outside. As much as I'd like to send a horde of black spiral dancers rampaging through the city, I can see that causing more problems than anything else. I think we might need to put that down as a last resort. Looking back towards Wind, Lorenzo begins to question the intelligence in bringing in the entity, by bringing in the Second Inquisition in full force. After they decide to destroy all the Anarchs, what stops them from just setting up camp and taking out the vampires? King scoffs at the notion. It's possible. But that's why we go down. We go to ground, we hide, and eventually they leave. That's how that works. We don't stay around for them to notice. We survive off of our herds. We do business through our retainers. The Anarchs don't have the patience for that kind of thing, obviously, he says, motioning to the havoc on the television. Resigned to the reality of the situation, Lorenzo asks for 20 minutes to inform the rest of the Hecata of the situation that's coming. The Second Inquisition is going to come in full force. Not 100% understanding what that means, but the concept of clearing the airways to make sure that they can get through is mentioned. They agree. In 20 minutes, the Second Inquisition attacks in full force. After his meeting with Wynn, Lorenzo calls Valentino. He lets him know that things are about to happen. To take in whatever Hecata that are embraced come to his home. Hide underground in the morgue and do not come out. Lorenzo also receives a text from Tinia, informing him that Nick's infection is a Gould fungus, which raises a whole bunch of more questions. Our night concludes with Tinia and Jay making their way into New Orleans district. They pass riot cops and strange soldiers that are wearing these black suits with large helmets. Tinia catches a patch on one of their arms and notices that they have that same symbol that was hanging on the flags deep down in the Hunter's base when they attacked the Olympic City over a year ago. At some point, they do get noticed by police, chased down an alley. Tinia grabs Jay and soaring leaps up to the roof, landing on him, nearly losing control of herself in the process. Jay then begins to convulse. Tinia begins to lose herself to the beast. And our night comes to a close. This past session was very interesting. There was a good amount of just legit role play, no testing involved, people making choices, trying to do the things that they thought were right by what they thought their characters would do. Lorenzo is leading himself down a very dark path. Valentino is finding himself trapped in a way that he never really expected he would, but still trying to do what's right for his family. Jay is attempting to not get left behind in the mass of violence and terror that is running through the city. And Tinia, she's finding it more and more difficult to hold control over herself. She's losing herself to the beast more often. Whether it be fighting cops or just gaining hunger. Tinia's player Avalon has just been rolling ridiculous amounts of critical successes, of bestial criticals, messy criticals. And it does have a very interesting, deep impact on the roleplay of the game. I'm finding myself more and more liking playing Vincent de Paul. Also, de Paul was created over 20 years ago as a mentor for one of my other players, and the way that this game has grown into what it is now, me repeating and updating past plot lines that I never got to see to full fruition, is pretty interesting. To see the full growth that these characters are going through, and how they have just turned into things that I never really expected. For years, I could never find an avatar for Vincent de Paul, but like the use of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as John Winchester and Negan has brought in my need to bring in those two characters, blending them together to create an NPC of my own that leads the characters that he's still mentoring down a different path than I ever would have thought he would be taking them. I really can't wait to see how all of this turns out, and I hope you all enjoy it. That speech between Vincent de Paul and Tinia, the conversation, was probably my favorite part of the night, and I just had to share the whole thing with you. But this is my world of darkness, and I hope you're all enjoying the story that's unfolding thus far. I am Voivode Naket. Thank you for joining me. Good night.